Welcome to Mr. Beebop. Agatha Christie wrote 12 Miss Marple novels and 2 collections of short stories. Here are some interesting facts about key recurring characters from these Marple novels. Raymond West. Raymond West is a well-known author and Miss Marple's nephew. He is not interested in Marple's cases, but in some novels, like A Caribbean Mystery and At Bertram's Hotel, he supports Marple financially. His wife Joan, an artist, is also sympathetic to Marple. In the 13 Problems, his future wife's name was given as Joyce, not Joan. Raymond's mother was one of 3 girls, with Marple being the eldest. The other sister had a daughter, Raymond's cousin Mabel Denman, who was accused of murdering her husband, Geoffrey. Raymond and Joan had 2 sons, one of whom is named David and works in British Railways. David was able to help his great-aunt solve a mystery regarding a missing corpse by giving her information about trains that might have passed the 4:50 from Paddington. His other son, Lionel, is a keen stamp collector and has shown Miss Marple every single one, and told her about the rare 1855 blue stamp, which helps her solve a case regarding a lost inheritance in the short story Strange Jest. Raymond appeared in 3 episodes of the BBC's Miss Marple series. He was played by David McAllister in Sleeping Murder in 1987. And by Trevor Bowen in A Caribbean Mystery in 1989 and The Mirror Cracked from Side to Side in 1992. Bowen also wrote many of the episodes in the series. Ewan Thomas played Raymond in 1997 in the BBC radio adaptation A Caribbean Mystery. Richard Grant played Raymond in Nemesis for the TV series Agatha Christie's Marple in 2009. Raymond Coulthard portrayed Raymond West in the BBC radio adaptation The Case of the Perfect Maid in 2015. Sir Henry Clithering. Sir Henry Clithering is a retired Scotland Yard Commissioner, and his godson, Dermot Eric Craddock, is eventually a detective inspector at Scotland Yard. Whenever local police warn Miss Marple not to interfere in an investigation, Sir Henry supports Marple. He recommends her to the county police trying to solve the crime, and a murder is announced, connecting Miss Marple to Sir Henry's godson, Detective Inspector Dermot Craddock, then working for the Chief Constable in the county. This is the first time Miss Marple and Detective Inspector Dermot Craddock worked together. Sir Henry exists in the Miss Marple universe, but there is an intriguing mention of one Sir Henry in relation to a high official from Scotland Yard in Chapter 16 of Peril at End House, a book in the Poirot universe. Raymond Francis portrayed Sir Henry in the adaptation of The Body in the Library for the BBC series Agatha Christie's Miss Marple in 1984. Graham Crowden voiced Sir Henry in the 1999 BBC radio dramatizations of The Body in the Library and A Murder is Announced. The Blue Geranium was adapted for Agatha Christie's Marple in 2010 with Donald Sinden playing Sir Henry. Dolly Bantry. Dolly Bantry is the wife of Colonel Arthur Bantry and a friend of Jane Marple. She and her husband lived at Gossington Hall in St. Mary Mead. Dolly was devoted to her husband and her garden, not necessarily in that order. She and Arthur had 4 children, 2 sons and 2 daughters, all of whom were grown up and had left home before the Bantrys moved to St. Mary Mead. After Arthur's death, Dolly sold Gossington Hall, using the proceeds to modernize the lodge which she kept to live in, and to travel and visit her far-flung children. One of them lives in Kenya, one in South Africa, one near Texas, and the 4th in London. By the time of The Mirror Cracked from Side to Side, she has 9 grandchildren. Margaret Courtenay was a British actress who portrayed Dolly Bantry in the 1980 film adaptation of Agatha Christie's novel The Mirror Cracked from Side to Side, starring Angela Lansbury as Miss Marple. In the BBC Miss Marple series, Dolly Bantry was played by Gwen Watford. She appeared in The Body in the Library in 1984, as well as The Mirror Cracked from Side to Side in 1992. In the ITV series Agatha Christie's Marple, Dolly Bantry was played by Joanna Lumley. She appeared in The Body in the Library in 2004 and The Mirror Cracked from Side to Side in 2010. Martha Price Ridley. Mrs. Martha Price Ridley is a woman living in St. Mary Mead next to the vicarage. She appears in 2 Marple novels and was mentioned in a short story. In The Murder at the Vicarage, Mrs. Price Ridley puts a pound note into the offering bag on the anniversary of her son's death. When the amount of the collection is posted up, she sees that the 10-shilling note is the highest item mentioned and becomes upset. She complains to Colonel Prothero, who then decides to go over the church accounts but was later shot and killed in the story. In The Body in the Library, Mrs. Price Ridley hears from her maid Clara that a woman's body was found in Colonel Bantry's library. In the Miss Marple 1986 episode, The Murder at the Vicarage, Martha Price Ridley is played by actress Rosalie Crutchley. In the ITV adaptation of The Murder at the Vicarage, the character is renamed Marjorie Price Ridley and is played by Miriam Margolyes. Caroline Weatherby. Miss Caroline Weatherby is a woman living in St. Mary Mead. She appears in 2 Marple novels and was mentioned in another novel and a short story. In The Murder at the Vicarage, Reverend Clement describes her as a mixture of vinegar and gush. In The Body in the Library, Miss Weatherby is described as a long-nosed, acidulated spinster. She visits Miss Hartnell to tell her the news that a woman's body was found in Colonel Bantry's library. She was mentioned as having passed away before the events in The Mirror Cracked from Side to Side. In the short story The Case of the Perfect Maid, Miss Weatherby talks to Miss Marple in the post office, telling her about a written reference saying that the maid was willing, sober, and respectable, but saying nothing about honesty. Miss Weatherby is of the opinion that this is significant. The actress Kathleen Bidmead portrayed Miss Weatherby in the 1986 adaptation The Murder at the Vicarage. Bidmead was uncredited. Thank you for watching. See you again next time.